I absolutely love the DC heroes and villains, and whether you love or hate the DCEU films, everybody has an opinion on them. So today we're going to stop and rank all 8 DCEU final battles from the worst to the best. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your ranking of the 8 DCEU final battles. With my list, I based it on how exciting did I find the action, did it feel like it completed the story and the themes, and did it pack an emotional punch. One more thing before we get started. If you want more Sean Chandler Talks About, head over to Instagram and follow my account over there. The link is down below in the description. I'm very active posting behind the scenes stuff, exclusive videos, as well as being very active in my DMs. If you send me a DM, I'll probably respond to it. You can find that link down below in the description, and let's get started. Easily coming in last place is Suicide Squad. Like most of the movie, the final battle just isn't very well crafted and is shoddily edited at certain points in time, and the moments that should have some emotional impact to them don't. So our heroes just basically stroll into the room where Enchantress and Incubus are standing, in which case when we get in the battle with them, most of our heroes are just kind of standing in the background while El Diablo fires up and starts punching Incubus. At the point in time where the bomb goes off that blows up Incubus and El Diablo, it kills all these Navy SEALs, but the movie just kind of glosses over the fact that a bunch of the cast of the movie just died, and you have to watch it a second time to realize, oh wait, all of them did just die. Even El Diablo's sacrifice, where he's like, I already lost one family, I'm not going to lose another, just feels totally hollow, like they're trying to force in an emotional oomph in the third act of this film, but it doesn't make any sense because they've only been friends for about 20 minutes at this point in time, and they hate each other an hour before this. And so it doesn't really work. Then they have their final showdown with Enchantress, which on an visual action level, not very exciting once again. And as she's defeated, Amanda Waller just appears out of nowhere. All of it just falls flat. It's not exciting as an action sequence. And as I said before, like the movie, not very well done, unfortunately. Number 7, Wonder Woman. Now, I find Wonder Woman as a whole to be one of the best films in the DCEU, but easily the weakest aspect of the film is the final battle. The first 2 acts move at a nice brisk pace and balance the action, the humor, and the film's themes and philosophy really well. And then as soon as Ares shows up, it grinds to a halt and they start monologuing. In it, you have Steve Trevor on this mission to stop a plane with these bombs, explosives, wanting to end the war. And then it cuts to Wonder Woman and Ares, and he's literally just giving these 2-3 minute long monologues talking about humanity and our failings. And it just halts all of the urgency, all of the momentum, and then even as you get the battle between the two of them, it's not nearly as exciting as it should be if you're having Ares against Wonder Woman, largely because he's just kind of doing the stuff like this, lifting ground up, making her fall over, and her sword's already been shattered. She doesn't have her lasso for large portions of it, and so it doesn't feel as viscerally as exciting as so much of the action in the rest of the film. Now, the highlight in the final act is the Steve Trevor stuff, his sacrifice. That's where you do get some emotional punch, the payoff of their relationship. But when it comes to the actual battle between the 2 titans of the film, really falls short of what it should be. Next up, the Justice League. Seeing them battle Steppenwolf and the Parademons doesn't live up to the bar set by the Avengers, but it's not a total disappointment either. There's just something about seeing them unite, battle a big gigantic army, as well as a final boss that is a good bit of fun. There's no shortage of little moments inside of it, great little shots where just seeing Aquaman have an absolute blast to try to tear these guys down. There's some fun shots of Batman rolling around, avoiding parademons and taking guys out. And then finally, we get to see a more traditional Superman in the DCEU. The resurrected Kal-El shows up, and he certainly has a much more lighthearted demeanor than he's had before. And that's a little bit refreshing and a nice little touch on the inside of this. Even just the little competition between him and Flash gets a little bit of a laugh in there. It's not nearly as good as it should have been, considering we are talking about the Justice League finally on screen in a big gigantic blockbuster, but it is one of the better parts of the movie for me. Coming in at number 5 is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. It's a little bit tricky to decide where exactly to consider the final battle for this film, because it goes straight from the titular fight to the warehouse fight to the Doomsday fight without pausing in between any of that. But for the sake of this video, I only consider the Doomsday fight because each of those sequences has a different objective, a different villain inside of it. So the final one is the Doomsday fight, which I get a good bit of enjoyment out of it, seeing Superman showdown against Doomsday, the villain that killed him in the comic books and, well, killed him in this film, is a lot of fun. We get our first appearance of Wonder Woman, and when that theme first plays, when she first saves the day, it is a chills-inducing moment. You get the shot of the three of them kind of posing in preparation for battle. A bunch of really cool stuff. No shortage of iconic, very comic book-esque visuals that also feel very much like Zack Snyder visuals, as you have Batman avoiding eye blasts from Doomsday. Where it, I think, falls short is that the death in the finale isn't fully earned. That's not really what the movie seemed like it was about or building towards. They just needed or wanted that big slam bang finale. And so when it happens, it just kind of feels like, where did that come from? Why did this just happen? Other than because you're trying to set something up in Justice League. And so I think some of those details kind of held it back because it doesn't actually carry the weight that it thinks it does when you get to those final moments. I'm gonna shoot straight with you real quick. The next 4 are kind of tied for me. I really enjoy all 4 of these, but for different reasons and in different ways, and each of them have different things that hold them back. Whereas in the MCU, I feel like we have several big, gigantic, epic finales that have fantastic action, tie the story up, and have a real emotional punch. I don't think we quite have anything as good in the DCEU yet. I'm hoping that we will soon enough, but I enjoy all 4 of these quite a bit. Next up, Birds of Prey and the very long, ever-changing title. Now, what I really enjoy about the final act in this film is that it's not particularly epic in scale, where most of these movies are about saving the world and stopping these invading armies. This one is a much smaller story about just this group of girls and these mobsters, and so it doesn't necessarily have the weight of the world on it. It's just about these characters that we care about. Likewise, it's not about our characters battling a big, gigantic CGI army. It's about practical stunt work on kind of a big scale. The fight sequence at the amusement park has a bunch of these wide shots where you have the upfront action, and then you have a second fight you can see in the background with a different character happening. All of it lively and fun, followed up by the chase sequence where, once again, practical stunt work where you have someone on roller skates being dragged by a motorcycle, jumping into a car, kicking people in the face. I love practical stunt work, and I'm glad that we're getting some of these alternative comic book movies that don't require big, gigantic spectacle, but go back to kind of practical roots. Now, I think kind of what holds this one back maybe a little bit for me is that earlier fights in the movie were done even better. The jail sequence is shot with a much more artistic eye, some cooler shots, better staged moves as well, especially this part where they go into the warehouse afterwards. Really cool stuff in there. There's nothing quite as good as that in this sequence, and I wish they'd done a little bit more of that highly stylized action during the amusement park. I think that might have even bumped this one up a spot or 2 on this list. Real quick before I give you my top 3, remember to share your ranking down below in the comment section. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, check out this playlist up above. It's got a bunch of my other DCEU rankings, the movies, the heroes, the villains. If you've enjoyed this video, there's definitely something up there that you'll enjoy. In third place is Man of Steel. Finally, we get to see Superman throw down, punch someone in the face with 21st century CGI and special effects. So back in the 70s and 80s, we got Superman in action, saving the world, punching Zod in the face. But obviously, what they could do back then, not quite as impressive as what you could do in the 21st century. And then in Superman Returns, you had modern day special effects, but the plot line of it had him like catching a continent that was falling from the sky rather than punching people in the face. So finally, with Man of Steel, you get all of it. A big, slam bang, bombastic Zack Snyder third act to a film, where he is flying through buildings, things are exploding, alien technology, tentacles flying all around, and kind of at the core of it, you're getting Kal-El embracing his destiny that he can be the person of both worlds and save the planet that he has been raised on. And there's a bunch of things about that that are very cool. Zack Snyder has a great eye for action, so when you're doing these Kryptonian fights, very cool stuff happens. Even kind of in the subplots inside of it, like Christopher Maloney's character sacrificing himself, that kind of pays off nicely from a sequence about an hour earlier in the film. Loved all those little details. Where this one, I think, gets held back from me, like I debated, should this one be in the top 2 spots? I think the sequence just goes on too long. It's just too much. It's like 40 minutes long and has Superman flying all around the globe, taking out technology. This is a whole section of it where there's these technicals trying to grab him, pull him down to the ground, and he's fighting them, has to fly up into it. And I just don't know that we needed all of that. I think if you trimmed that down, what you do have is more effective, because what is there, I think, is very cool. Zack Snyder's great at this stuff, and I just loved getting to see Superman with modern technology just battle it out with these guys. Our runner-up, Aquaman, the Lion King, goes under the sea, and we get this big, gigantic underwater battle to see who will be king of the oceans. And for me, I just enjoy seeing this massive, over-the-top, unashamedly kind of campy, kind of goofy underwater battle with people riding on sharks and battling huge crabs and other weird creatures. It's not embarrassed at how goofy some of this could be. It just goes for it and wants to entertain, and that's what I think this movie did well. And it interweaves this with a story of Arthur finally embracing his destiny, that he is the person that was raised on land, but also by birthright meant to be royalty under the sea. And it brings all that together really well. So you get the big bombastic stuff under the water, and then we go up top, and we have our final showdown between the two characters, two brothers battling for the throne. And even when Aquaman finally wins, it has the final touch of the mother is revealed to still be alive, and just adds emotion into it. So our hero steps up to become the person that he was destined to be. You have fantastical action, and you have that emotional punch in there too. But coming in first place for me is actually Shazam. This is the film that I think the third act, that final battle, ties together the movie the best. You have the big showdown between Shazam and Dr. Sivana, but you also have the 7 deadly sins acting, tearing up this little amusement park. But it doesn't ever lose its sense of humor. So while you have the spectacle, you have flying superheroes and supervillains punching each other in the face, it keeps cutting back to jokes in ways that fit the tone of the movie without totally undercutting the drama of the situation or taking away the urgency of what's happening. Some of them are some of the best jokes in the entire movie. Adding into that, I kind of love the fact that they decided to introduce the whole Shazam family in the center of this climax of this film, because it pays off what the movie is actually about. Billy finding a new family and embracing that, and they found so many great things to do with that, and having even younger kids getting superpowers that pays off their little arcs as well. The big surprise here for me was Adam Brody. I didn't realize he was in the movie. I certainly didn't expect him to be a superhero in the third act of the film, and I absolutely loved that, him showing up in that way in this film. But while this isn't necessarily the biggest of the bunch, it's not the most epic, it's the one that ties the movie together the best and pays off the film that we've been watching. So all of the arcs for our characters, all of the journey of them discovering who they're supposed to be, battling Dr. Sivana, all of it ties together properly and in a way that satisfies in the final little battle of this film. So for me, that's what I want these final battles to do, and it comes in at number 1. Remember, if you want more Sean Chandler Talks About, you can check out my Instagram page at the link down below in the description. If you want more DCEU rankings, you can find them right over there. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.